All right, we're officially launching Arizona to Edmonton. I'm your host, Tracy Gray, and with me, well, actually not with me, they're the ones doing the show. This is Devin Gray, professional real estate agent in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And then down in the States, we've got Diane Brennan, professional real estate agent. And these two are going to hash it out between the differences when you're investing in Canada and in the States, and then specifically those areas. Last week was supposed to be the official launch, but we had some technical difficulties, so we're calling that show the pre-show. This is officially episode number 1. And it was kind of ironic because in that video, part of the technical difficulties we had was Diane's camera kept freezing. But in Edmonton right now, we're the ones in freezing temperatures. So there was a definite irony there, Diane, that you were the one that was freezing in the video.
Yeah. So if you really want to see some lovely pictures of me, it's on YouTube where I'm frozen. For how long? Half of the 30 minutes? I don't know.
Pretty much. Yeah,
10 to 10 to 12 for sure.
Oh my gosh. So poor Devin and Tracy, when we recorded it, they didn't record. So it's just 30 minutes of me. It's horrible. My mom loves it.
Oh, good. Well, at least we got one subscriber anyway.
Just
That's right.
thinks there's she thinks there's something medically wrong with me. But doesn't really understand the technology. Why are you like this the whole time? But anyway.
She doesn't know it's the video. She thinks it's just you actually froze.
Yeah, exactly. What's wrong? You're not feeling well?
Diane, you're such a good listener.
Exactly. Well, you guys are in freezing Edmonton. I just got back from Puerto Vallarta. So I have a friend from Edmonton visiting, and we just moved her suitcases out of my office here to do the video and stuff. Yeah. So she's enjoying the nice temperatures. Excellent. But you guys had 19 degrees yesterday, didn't you, or something?
It was beautiful. Yeah, sun was shining, gorgeous.
Yeah. So when you're here, you want it to suck at home in Edmonton to make, to make it worth it. She's so disappointed when she looked at her phone. She's like, it's 19 degrees at home.
Well, yeah, because you do that little victory text that you send everyone where you screenshot what the temperature is in Phoenix.
Yeah.
And send that home to torture everybody who's back in the minus temperatures. That's part of the fun when you're in Edmonton going on holiday.
And I'm so much of a jerk. I used to, look at there, I'm frozen.
Well, and we're not really freezing today. We started out at 0 degrees, and it's supposed to warm up a little bit, but really windy today, so that's not fun.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it is going to be over 30 degrees today. And
oh, wow.
I would put my hand in the pool and swash it around. That's how much of a jerk I am usually. I'm like, it's not bad here.
So screenshot the temperature on your phone and send that to us.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you for not doing this show poolside today.
That's right.
Yeah, lucky you.
That froze out of you in a bikini.
Yeah, if it froze, I would have died. Let me tell you. I was doing a lot of cropping. You eat on holiday. And I ate a lot before, and I was like, okay, everyone's taking pictures. I'm like, okay, we're gonna crop my everything, and you got a picture of my earlobes. That's what I posted on social media. Like that's.
Now you just got back from holiday, but we know with real estate agents, the work is never done. So how much were you on your phone? Still working while you were down there?
I did have a closing that got extended, which normally doesn't happen here. It's usually a 30-day close. But I did get word that it is being extended. We have a VA buyer, which is a veteran buyer, and there's something going on there. So it's going to just be extended for a week, which is okay because my Canadian sellers are actually going to stay in the house a month longer anyways for free so that they can enjoy their home for another month before they head back to Canada. So it kind of worked out. So no problem. Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, and then it'll be even warmer temperatures when they come back.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. Well, I don't know. We've had snow in June in Edmonton, right? Sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Every month, historically, every month we've had snow sometime. But
I remember
in July,
August. It was the August long weekend, and there was a big outdoor concert, and on the ticket it said it was going to go rain, sleet, hail, was going no matter what the weather was, and then it snowed all weekend on the August long weekend. Gosh. So they had to shut the concert down. That wasn't part of the weather conditions.
I remember that one, and there was a lot of guys made a lot of money with winches on the front of their trucks because they were winching out the trailers that couldn't get out.
People that got stuck. Yeah.
That's too bad.
The nasty ones. The nice ones were doing it for free, but there was a few guys that charged.
Making money.
Price gouging, right?
That's right.
Well, we don't have that problem here. Like I told my friend Laura, when you go home after vacation, you have those post-vacation blues when you go back to gray skies.
Yeah.
And even in the summertime, in Edmonton, we have we can have beautiful summers, and sometimes it can be a crapshoot. But you know that anxiety you feel like in summer when it's sunny out and you are inside, you have that anxiety like, oh my gosh, I'm wasting the sunshine. I got to get out. I got to get out. We don't have that here.
Yeah, and it's 100 times that when you have kids. It's like, get out of the house.
Right,
It's actually
right,
nice
right.
out. The sun's shining and you're not getting bitten by mosquitoes.
That's one of, still to this day, one of my favorite stories about ages ago when we were down in Phoenix in June, and I think that's when Tracy burnt the scalp of her head because we were driving around in that convertible Mustang.
Right on the part, right there.
And you were touring us around Phoenix all afternoon, and she sat in the back. And so it was the day we were leaving, and it's a Sunday afternoon. Of course, it's 36 degrees outside, and the guy you were dating at the time was he played that arena football. And I just remember, I was just like, we should be outside. We should be outside. Like, oh my gosh, like we're leaving, 30 plus degree weather and it's crappy at home and all that stuff. And I just remember saying to you two, because he was watching the finals or something like that of the game. And I said, but shouldn't we be outside? And he goes, why? It's going to be 35. It's going to be like 100 degrees tomorrow and 100 degrees the next day and 100 degrees after that. I was like, you suck, buddy.
That's why I broke up with him, because he talked like that. I like that imitation. Yeah, okay. That's why we're not a couple anymore.
Just wants to lay on the couch all day.
Good imitation. Yeah.
That's right.
So even more reason for people to invest in Arizona, but
that's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So one of the difference, Devin and I were talking last week, and Tracy, in Edmonton, when you go to buy a house, a pre-approval is optional.
Yeah, optional, highly recommended. It's and I know you're going to get into this in a minute. It's where it's mandatory. I mean, it's really it's highly recommended, and a lot of real estate agents in Alberta will not necessarily even want to go out and start showing properties to a buyer until they are pre-approved, because you can get into that whole situation of they fall in love with a property and then having to rush to get everything done. So I do know that there are some agents that will even say, I can't show you any properties until you're pre-approved. It's not that rigid, but ultimately it does come into a situation where it's kind of a waste of time for the buyer and for the realtor to be out looking at properties. Others will basically say, you know what, I'll take you out on maybe a couple, and that's an opportunity, especially if it's like a realtor.ca lead or something like that, just to say, hey, if the person's like, I just want to go look at properties. Okay, well, let's go look at a couple, but then let's have a meeting afterwards at, go to a Tim Hortons or something, and let's go through the process and basically say, look, you have to get pre-approved, because it's just, again, simply a waste of time otherwise. So that's kind of where we are in Alberta.
Okay. Yeah. Excuse me. And down here, this is my Mexico voice happening right now. I swear I didn't have that much tequila. I don't know what happened here. Here, it's definitely mandatory. You cannot submit an offer without a pre-qualification. And down here, we look at it, you get a lot of because I know at home, when you write a contract, you kind of figure the financing out after. Here, we have the financing figured out before. So your first meeting is with a lender or a loan officer, and they do the credit check. They look at your pay stubs, and we have a pre-approval form that everything is checked off. Has their pay stubs been checked? Has their credit reports been pulled? Have their tax returns been looked over? I mean, that's how deep we go. So when you submit an offer, and especially in a competitive market here, where we're in a huge seller's market, we have low inventory here. That is an advantage, because a seller can see, well, how we want to make sure this closes. We want to make sure you're going to get the money to purchase this home. So, the more that these boxes are checked, that the lender's already looked into, and some already go through the underwriting process. So they're that approved. So here it has to be attached to the contract. So we will not take anyone out without a proof of funds. Like, let's say a lot of Canadians buy cash. So we have to see the documents where we have to submit proof of funds where the accounts with the names on it, showing the balances. And we have to prove that to a seller. Like, look, we can get this house. Because our closes are 30 days. In Edmonton, they're how long from accepted contract to when you get the keys in the buyer's hands?
Pretty much, it can be any time. That's another thing as well. It's a flexibility thing, and I think just coming back to the pre-approval, we are seeing a shift. Again, it's not mandatory, but we are, since we got into this hopefully long sellers market, but certainly mini in the fact that it's only been a couple of months, where there's a lot more multiple bids, and so one of the things that the listing agent will basically say to help the seller make the decision is, is this offer coming with a pre-approval? And if it's not, well, then they might actually step over it for one that might be a little bit less because of the fact that they know that they're pre-approved, because they obviously don't want to see a deal and watch all those other buyers leave and go somewhere else if ultimately that deal dies. When it comes to closing, that is flexible. If it's a cash deal, we can have it closed in as little as 5 days. Beyond that, it's usually 3 to 4 weeks. That's really what the lawyers are asking for. And sometimes we'll have closings that might be 60, 90 days. It's all basically what's agreeable to the buyer and the seller.
Ours is a standard 30 days, and we actually don't use lawyers here. We use title companies, and an escrow officer is kind of like a paralegal to compare it. So they collect all the monies, they hold on to it. They figure out HOA dues, which in Canada we call them strata, or do we call them strata fees in Edmonton? The HOA fees?
We've got the strata fees are more of a BC term. It's condo fees here in Alberta, but we do have
Vancouver.
Yeah, we do have some. We do have some homeowner association fees, but not very many.
Okay, so here pretty much every property has them. So they and they also formulate the taxes owed, because we pay our taxes after rather than before. So they formulate that and figure all of those fees and funds out, and the title company does that. So we don't actually use lawyers. The only time we'll use a lawyer is if somebody is signing in Canada, then Canada doesn't have mobile notaries, so they'll use a barrister. I'm like, who's a barrister? I guess in Ontario they use barristers, but you have to use a lawyer to be able to sign your documents and stuff.
Yeah, actually,
if you're purchasing here,
it's funny. You see barristers in Alberta, in Canada, and I can't remember which is which, but you see barristers and solicitors, and I believe solicitors are the ones that go to court. And
interesting.
And barristers are the ones that just do the paperwork, kind of.
I just showed you how uneducated I am, but anyway.
Hey, we just found
lawyer's a lawyer.
We found that out a month ago, I think, from talking to our real estate lawyer who talked about barristers and solicitors. And
interesting, fabulous.
Right.
So yeah, and a lot of people find the lending process here in the pre-qual process. A lot of people kind of feel that they're being interrogated a little bit. Since the market crashed here, and we crashed, in 07, 08, 09, because of predatory lending. So the federal government has really clamped down on that. So there's a lot more questions, and it's standard. Like, your lender is not picking on you. This is what I tell my clients. Everybody has to do this. It's not a lender thinking that you can't afford it or anything else. I mean, and lenders say, oh, it's an easy process. I mean, be prepared. It is. You are going to show 10 pages of bank statements. If one statement has two blank pages on the end, you have to include that. And it's cash, definitely a lot easier. But one point you were going to say can close as little as 4 days. Or in Edmonton, are you having inspection periods in that 4 days with investors that are paying cash?
Yes. Now, that's going to be really difficult when things are busy. Like right now, it would be next to impossible. But when things were slower, December, even in early January, and you talk to inspectors, and they've got lots of availability, you would probably see. And I should qualify that actually when you're talking about closing. So that would be 5 days after the conditions are removed. So you might say, hey, I'm paying cash, but I do want a property inspection. So let's say let's say 5 days and 5 days. So let's say a transaction is agreed upon today. So this is Thursday. So let's say condition removal on that property inspection is going to be by next Wednesday. So by next Wednesday at 9 p.m., sometime between now, and it could even be on the weekends, because a lot of inspectors work on the weekends, they would have that property inspection. Then when we, agreed upon whatever needed to be done from the inspection and that condition was waived, we would then have another 5 days what we would call the closing period to have possession. So when I say 5 closing days, if there's an inspection, that would basically be after the property inspection. But you can, again, if you're seeing a cash buy and there is no property inspection and no financing, yes, you could close and have that done in as little as 5 days.
Okay. So that's interesting because we use different vernacular in real estate here. So we don't talk about conditions. Like our inspection period is the due diligence period. And that's what it's called. So yeah, we don't remove conditions. I'm like, what condition? I have ADD, but that's going to stay forever.
Conditions in my hair this morning.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, we have an inspection period, which is 10 days. So our total close from when the contract, and we call it close of escrow, is the day that the property officially transfers from one seller to the new buyer. Okay. But if it's in escrow, our escrows are 30 days. So that's once the contract is accepted, the next day is day one, and it's all done in 30 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. Appraisal as well.
Yeah, no, there's definitely some flexibility in terms of you kind of decide on, how long do we want this conditional period to be? You can, anything beyond say 10 business days on a condition, sellers and listing agents get a little bit concerned. Sometimes I'll go, and funny, I get a laugh from the listing agent when I do this. Sometimes I might put 13 conditional days, and they say, why so long? And I say, because I have a feeling we're going to be in negotiations for 3 or 4 days, and by the time we agree on this, we're going to only be 8 business days out from the conditional period. But it's completely flexible. It's interesting when you've got such a set period of time. There's sometimes we'll get direction from the financing people. The lender will reach out and say, hey, you know what, we're going to need a good 10 days because we're backlogged, because there is, when we've got pre-approval, and I explain this to buyers a lot, there's basically 2 processes of getting pre-approved. The first one is for you, which we also have a lengthy list of things that your banker or your mortgage broker will want. And then the second period is they want to make sure that you're not overpaying for the property. So you're already good. If you were approved for say $400,000, we're going to find a house that's $400,000 or less. But now they want to go out and make sure you're not buying a $320,000 house for $390, and they say, holy smokes, this thing is, and I'm talking in extremes here, but $40,000 or $50,000 over. That hardly ever happens in a buyer's market, but when we are starting to see some properties now in Edmonton, and this is big money here in Edmonton, $30,000 or $40,000 over list, the appraisers want to go out and make sure that you're not overpaying for that property. And what happens is that if, let's say you're buying a house for $400,000 and the appraiser comes back and says it's only worth $390, that buyer has to come up with an additional $10,000 to make up the difference of the shortfall that the lender is prepared to pay for that, or lend for that house.
So do you guys call it the appraisal period, or?
We call it the conditional period because it's and even from the term, like some people they go, what do you mean a house is pending? What does that mean? And we'll say, well, it's conditionally sold. Okay, conditionally sold because we're working on satisfying or waiving conditions, and the conditions could be anything. Most and 90% of the time it's financing and property inspection. If it's a condominium, then there's also the review of condo docs. I've got some investors that basically will say, upon review and approval of my lawyer, there could be a sale of buyer property is another popular one. Obviously, if somebody's got to sell their current house, you can have any condition possible if you want. Conditions get put in for backup offers. That's a condition as well, that if the first deal dies, that you will consider our offer next.
So we call that a backup offer.
Well, that's a backup offer for us.
Okay. And I forget what term you used, but when you say sold with conditions, our term is under contract. So if it's under contract or pending, we say that, well, we never actually say it's pending. We list it as pending, but we say it's under contract. So under contract means
say that too. That's
okay.
I mean, funny enough, there's several terms. Like probably the one that has the most is the day that the keys are exchanged. There's completion day, closing day, possession day, key release day. There's all sorts of, they all mean the same thing. And so
Oh, okay.
you have to be up to speed, because depending on the realtor, and the lenders and the lawyers, they all, I find that most lawyers in Alberta use, they call it completion day, meaning that the transaction is completed.
Oh.
I use key release day to my buyers, because that's what they get. It's like, what's the day I get the keys? Okay,
Sure.
key release day that you get the keys is this day.
Yeah. And we call that close when we close of escrow. That's how it's referred to here.
Yeah.
We like to keep it simple. We don't confuse
Yes,
people.
I know. We're
Well, and Diane, with you bringing up close, we are getting to the time on the video where we should start to wrap it up.
Yes.
What?
So-
This is like so short. It feels like I could just talk all day.
It's gold. This is amazing information. So I hate to step in on this, but for
Every party
episode
has a
101,
pooper. Just kidding.
I get to
know.
be the pooper.
Yeah.
I get to be your pooper today.
But luckily we're here all week. If you'd
right.
like to know more.
And next week. But I know you guys, there's so much more. You guys could talk forever about this. So I just wanted to see if you guys had a couple more things you wanted to throw in before we.
Yeah, well,
wrap it
I
up.
just basically, so the purpose of these is ultimately to help people in Canada that are either looking to buy in the Phoenix area or to sell, to just give them some information in regards to that process, and also have a contact that they can reach out to. With Diane being down there for last 20 years and been a realtor for over 10 years, and specializes with Canadians. And it's interesting you mentioned that, Diane, about how the person that you were helping when you were in Puerto Vallarta, you were helping a Canadian sell their house.
Yeah, a Canadian seller, absolutely. So
Yeah.
a little bit different with FIRPTA and taxes and stuff. You have to file here in Arizona as well as in Canada. So there's a little bit of, you want to use someone who kind of knows that.
Yeah. So what we're going to continue to do over the every time we chat is just all the subtle differences. This one was interesting in the fact that it started off with pre-approval and the differences there, and definitely realized there's a lot of differences in terminology, which we bump into all the time with a lot of BC investors that are buying in Alberta. We come into all sorts of different challenges there as well.
Sure.
And so, but anyways, just wanted to have you mention again in regards to some of the services that you provide for Canadians that are looking to buy or sell in the Phoenix area.
Oh, absolutely. So we can get them with great accountants here to help them deal with FIRPTA, which is the Foreign Investor Real Property Tax Act, and also with accountants in Canada as well. If you can't make it down here, I know with COVID, a lot of my clients couldn't, so I will actually pack up your stuff and ship it to you. Pack it and ship it. The cost of shipping, probably not, but also help with cleaning, staging, absolutely everything that you need done to get your home ready. I'm happy to help. Professional photos,
That's awesome.
as well as really great guidance all the way through. So it's great with technology and FaceTime. You don't have to be down here. You can sign all your documents in Canada, no problem. So it can be easy peasy.
Yeah, and again, I think it bears repeating every time we talk about how the Canadian banks really got on board with understanding how many Canadians are buying in the Sun Belts of the U.S. because they're down there now. So it's certainly a lot easier from a lending standpoint to make a purchase.
Yes, absolutely. So BMO offers a program for Canadians purchasing as well as RBC. So
yeah, fantastic. Okay.
Cash is always king though here.
Yeah. That's the American way.
It's America.
Yeah. Show your cash.
Well, this is great information for anybody who's just curious about the difference between buying or selling in the Canadian or the American market, seeing the differences, and then especially for anyone that is looking at buying down in the States or Canada.
How do they get a hold of you, Diane?
My phone number is 602-620-2277. My email, I guess the easiest one to remember since we're just saying this on video, is can'trememberheremail@gmail.com.
What was it again? I can't
Wow,
remember.
that's
It's already gone.
That's a good one.
Right?
Isn't it?
Can't
So when
remember.
I was in Puerto Vallarta and everything, so a lot of times you don't have your business cards. You're in a bathing suit, you're in the ocean, you're talking real estate. So I said, okay, here's my email. Can't remember her email @gmail.com.
I'll show you the book that I just got, Diane. I'll edit this out for family viewing, or maybe.
That's hilarious.
so that I can keep everything in there. So now I'll write down your email in there.
Yeah.
In case
Perfect.
I can't remember it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And you can always reach me through social media too. It's Diane Brennan and at my realtor, Diane Brennan on Instagram. Who else am I on? Don't check my TikTok. That's embarrassing.
Are there frozen videos of you on it?
Yeah, more frozen videos.
Okay.
For sure. And Devin, what's your contact information?
Yeah, so the company I work with, we're investor focused, but we also like to help people in any way we can. And that would include helping people get connected with Diane down in the States. But I'm with EXP Realty and the Mogul Realty Group. And my cell number is 780-951-9279. I don't have a snazzy email. It's kind of boring, but it's Devin, Devin at mogulrg.com. But man, I'm going to have to look at coming up
like
with
we
something
forgot that
better.
one already.
Yeah.
Need one like Diane's.
If you can't remember my email,
Email me. And
can't remember her email at gmail.com. That's awesome.
Now your website will be, I can't remember my website.
That's right.
Yeah, for sure.
What's his name again?
Awesome.
.com.
What's his name? Yeah, perfect.
Well, you look great, Diane. Obviously,
Well,
had a good vacation.
I had an excellent vacation. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to go take a nap after the margaritas, but. All right. Well, you guys take care. We'll talk to you next week. Same time, same place.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Take
All
care.
right. All right. Bye-bye.